So Ravens flock, after another slugfest, we were able to make it out of Cleveland with a victory. We are now at 500 for the first time since like week 2, where we also beat Cleveland. And next week we're gonna have a chance to, for the first time this season, get over 500. And I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm pretty frustrated with what I saw what I saw yesterday against Cleveland. We again, a win is a win, but my main takeaway when you watch a game like that is this team is still just not ready to be taken serious. When you go into a game like that and you still look unprepared, like I can't wrap my head around us. I can't wrap my head around them deserving for us to take them seriously at this point. And I understand that the Browns have an elite defense. Obviously, they have Myles Garrett, who is just a menace to society. He's the best defensive player on the planet right now. He's on pace to break the single season sack record. I understand that, but this is still the same problems we're going to face if we do get into the playoffs. This is still the same problems we're going to face, where you're going to be playing defenses at this same caliber. Even though Myles Garrett may not be on these other teams, you're still going to have these same type of problems. Look at what's going on in Denver right now. Denver's defense is arguably just as good, if not better, than Cleveland. What if we match up against the Broncos in the playoffs? Do you trust this offensive line to be able to block those guys? I don't. But again, above everything else, to get back to the fact that they weren't prepared, you see this time after time, where in the John Harbaugh era, our teams constantly go into these moments looking unprepared. Your back is against the wall. This season has been a complete disaster. You're trying to get back in the fight. You're trying to get back in the playoff hunt. You realize that in order to make it to the playoffs, you have to pretty much win out. You really can't afford to blow games like that. And the reason you can't afford to blow games like that is because your only route to the playoffs at this point is to win the division. And yet you're still going into games like this looking unprepared. You have your team still not ready to go. We still look lost out there. It's a shame to see. As far as like some bright spots from that game, Derrick Henry was definitely a bright spot. It's incredible that Derrick Henry is still putting up really solid numbers despite having to run behind an offensive line this garbage. Like, he had another 100-yard game and a touchdown, but it's really a tragedy that John Harbaugh's stubbornness is causing us to stick with two guys that he just does not want to admit are not good enough. And you know what? Even let's say he's correct. Even if John Harbaugh is correct and Ben Cleveland and Emory Jones and Bullock and whoever else, Carson Benson, let's say all of these other options are truly just that bad that they can't outplay these guys. That's still a major indictment on Harbaugh and Eric DeCosta, because that should have been more reason for you to prioritize the offensive line in round 1 instead of picking Malachi Starks when Malachi would have still been there in round 2. And it's a shame that we have to, as a fan base, sound like a broken record, but every single week we constantly have to be reminded how bad this offensive line is. And you see John Harbaugh, when asked about it in the press conference, he just flat out lies to our face about it and says, hey, they're playing better each week, which, I feel conflicted about that, because on one hand, I want to be fair. On one hand, John Harbaugh, he is still a coach at heart, and it wouldn't be in his best interest to publicly disrespect or publicly admit that his players suck, right? That would just pretty much kill their confidence. Well, most likely it would kill their confidence. But at the same time, I still don't want to see you sit here week after week and try to convince us that these guys are better than what they are. Like if this was another coach, I would definitely view it with a little more sympathy. But again, this is the same coach who called all of us a bunch of people at the end of the bar. So when you keep that in mind, it makes it abundantly clear that above everything else, he thinks that we're just stupid enough to trust him when he says that they're playing better week over week and the best five guys are out there. It's really hard to believe that. Because again, like we're at the goal line. We have Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, and we still can't convert in the red zone as a whole, but on the goal line specifically, which again, that's another reason why Derrick Henry deserves his flowers for that game, because even when you see the touchdown he got, he had to single-handedly make that touchdown happen, because like it's really sad to see, unfortunately. And again, it's not even just the guards. I don't want to dunk on Falele and Voorhees too much at this point, because I don't want it to make it seem like they're the scapegoat for everything, because there's so many other things going wrong. Like even in this game, Lamar had a bad game where he threw a couple picks. One of those picks was just like a bad situation that bounced off of Keaton Mitchell's hands and got picked off after it popped in the air. But then the other pick, where he threw it at a bad angle and it just hit Rosengarten's helmet. Just a bad game overall. We really couldn't get anything going offensively. Defensively, I thought they had a solid game. I don't want to say spectacular, because even though technically the defense held the Browns to like 9 points. Oh, they held the Browns offense to 9 points. Still, that's still too much for me, to be honest with you, considering how bad the Browns offense is. Like I'm expecting us to hold their offense to a maximum of like 6 points. So anything beyond that to me is a bit frustrating. I know that seems a bit unfair, but again, this Browns offense is that bad to where, to me, it doesn't make sense that they should be able to score on us at all. But at the same time, the defense, this was another game where they were getting in the habit of being opportunistic, which I do like to see. You saw Nate Wiggins get an interception. We still are not really making anything happen at the edge rusher position. Like Kyle Van Noy did had a sack, but it still doesn't feel like we're gonna find any real solution when it comes to our edge rusher room. I don't like seeing our best edge rusher be our safety, Kyle Hamilton, but I mean, we'll see how things go. Maybe things, nah, I can't say that, but I still want to hold out hope that maybe we can figure something out, but probably not. Either way, offensively, to get back to the offense, this year continues to just be a shit show. I don't think we've passed for over 250 yards this year so far in any one singular game, which is very frustrating considering last year we were doing that with ease, but right now nothing can really get going. And as much as I don't want to make Falele and Voorhees the scapegoats, it does still lead back to them not being able, the offensive line as a whole. It's not even just them, because Roger Rosengarten, he's not having a good year. Like that one clip where Myles Garrett literally threw Roger Rosengarten like he was just a toddler. Like that that moment has been stuck in my head ever since yesterday. And like like there is no solution right now, unfortunately. Hopefully Todd Monken can figure something out. Hopefully Lamar could just get hot at the right time, because like when you look at last week and this week, has not really done a whole lot. Hopefully he can really turn it back on. We see Derrick Henry week in and week out. He's making things happen. Speaking of Todd Monken, though, shout out to Todd Monken for that creative play on the touchdown with Mark Andrews, the rushing touchdown. That moments like that vindicate Todd Monken, because as we know, during the bye week, John Harbaugh was getting ready to set Todd Monken up to be the scapegoat for all this. they were going to try to make it seem like Todd was the problem, and they put out that propaganda piece against him. But moments like that shows that Todd Monk is not truly the problem. He's not perfect, but he's not the problem. I did like seeing that, even though I'm somebody who doesn't like seeing the Mark Andrews tush push play, because I don't trust our offensive line to be able to execute that play against better teams like when we played the Rams. But it was dope to see what they were able to do with it the past 2 weeks. Last week, obviously, they added a new wrinkle where they lined Lamar up at running back and then pitched it back to him. Then this week, obviously, they lined Lamar and Derrick Henry back up there. They faked it as if Lamar and Derrick were going to the left. A bunch of Cleveland Brown players thought they were, and then obviously Mark reverses and then takes it all the way. That was very nice to see. Mark Andrews also became the Ravens' all-time leader in receiving yards. And it was nice to see Mark get that accomplishment. I knew this was coming. I'm sure anybody who was paying attention knew this was coming just because he only needed 200 yards this season to get to this record. He now, with this accomplishment, will be solidified in franchise history, even if and when his record is broken. That still is great company to be in when you think about tight ends who at some point led their team and reception and receiving yards in the franchise's history. That will put him up there with guys like Travis Kelsey and Antonio Gates. But again, overall, when it comes to this game, this game was too disgusting to want to even think too hard about. It was just nice to get out of Cleveland with the win, but we still it still just doesn't seem like they're fully ready to really make a run just yet. Thankfully, we still have 7 games left to try to piece our way through it and build up some real momentum, not just momentum on paper, because people might look at us and say, okay, they won 4 straight games, but I mean like momentum, like we start to actually look like how we looked last year, where we looked unstoppable. We looked like a team that on all phases, well, I'm not gonna say all phases because our defense sucked last year too, but we still just look like a team that was dominant enough to really make a run instead of just a team that's limping through the season. But again, let me know, is there anything that you took away from this game, and were you satisfied with this victory?